seeing tech stand up unified in anger, it seems.
Oh my God, this is a massive political repudiation of the Trump administration. And I think two things are going on here. One is, as Caitlin said, Silicon Valley derives an enormous strength from immigrants, going back to Andy Grove at Intel, to Satya Nadella at Microsoft. Number two, these are blue state companies, and their employees, by and large, did not want to see Donald Trump president. They are reacting, very negatively to this immigration executive order, and I think they're putting a lot of pressure on their leaders to come out and take a stand.
Fascinating. Many citing, of course, Steve Jobs himself was son of a Syrian. Peter, dig into us where we go next, because there's much concern building among those very same tech leaders that next is going to be the visas that are going to be analysed and maybe executive ordered against.
That's right. Yeah, there are these work visas that are very popular with tech companies. They help to be able to bring in workers from around the world, either for short-term or for longer-term assignments. And to be clear, maybe it's good to begin with a caveat. What we saw is a draft of an executive order. It hasn't been signed by President Trump. It may be modified before it's actually signed into law. But there are a couple things that are very clear. One, the work visa programs as they exist right now do not work to the original purpose of their legislation. And two, the changes are consistent with the kind of populist statements that President Trump has made. It looks like Trump and Congress are going to look at a variety of reforms aimed in the direction of giving American workers more priority and then paying the workers who come in from outside more money instead of bringing in lower wage workers, trying to pay them more.
And Brad, I mean, what seems so interesting here, yet perhaps more fuel to the fire for many of those tech leaders, Peter was spelling out for us. And there were some olive branches to begin with. It was only December the 14th that we saw the tech leaders in the room with Donald Trump. Is all that going to unwind?
No, not at all. I mean, this is why we keep seeing Eric Schmidt, going to the White House, going to Trump Tower. Why executives like Elon Musk and Travis Kalanick of Uber see the need to be on the Business Council despite the PR price that they are paying among their employees and some of their customers for being affiliated with Trump. They want a seat at the table. They want to push their agendas. The H-1B visa program is prized in Silicon Valley, and they want to maintain it. And so that's why they're trying to advocate on their own behalf.
Peter, is there any update as to the timing of this? I know you said as yet the executive power is perhaps not quite as strong on this front, but could we see it as soon as this week?
Well, there's speculation about it coming relatively soon. It'll be difficult to tell, given the backlash against the original executive order on immigration. It's not clear whether that will take additional time. I do think that you're going to see a split, though, over the H-1B issue between the U.S. tech companies that are recruiting highly paid workers from overseas to work on kind of specialized assignments and the outsourcing companies, which have typically brought in workers that are paid less money. And I think the reforms are aimed at trying to split those two and looking at the differences between them. If there are fewer visas that go to the outsourcing companies, that actually means there may be more available to the Apples and the Googles and the other tech companies that are bringing in specialized work. And
just lastly, Brad, when we're looking at some of the actions that we're seeing, I mean, Brian Chesky looking at donations, in particular to the ACLU, that seems to be an interesting tack that some of the leaders in tech community are taking, perhaps not speaking out directly against President Trump, but perhaps trying to put in place help for those, particularly their own workers.
Yeah, not to interpret it all cynically, but, you're seeing tech CEOs really strive to kind of demonstrate their bona fides. And so, with that donation, that pledge of support of refugees, Brian Chesky kind of hit a home run. Lyft donated $1 million to the ACLU. They kind of hit a home run. And then poor, sad Uber, kind of stumbling. There's not a lot of rationality behind this delete Uber campaign that we're seeing on Twitter right now. But, people just sort of, the sort of anti-Trump crowd concluded that they weren't being strident enough in their communications on the immigration executive order, and and here they are kind of stumbling to strengthen their own statement. So a little bit of optics at play here.